Hey guys, it's Shadow Flyer. Today we're going to be installing a new carb kit on my 2002 Honda Shadow 1100 Aero. It's running lean, and so I had to purchase a kit online to put some bigger jets on it in the carburetor. We'll be putting in some new pilot jets, main jets, and we'll put some needle shims on there as well. So let's get started. So first we're gonna remove the seat. There's a bolt there. There's a bolt there. And there's a bolt on the other side of the seat. The one in the back is a 10mm and the two on the sides are 12mm. Once you have those removed, you can lift up the seat, take it off, and put it to the side. Next we'll be removing the gas tank. We got a bolt here and a bolt up there. One in the back is 12mm again, and the one up front is an 8mm. With those bolts removed, or at least loosened enough that you can get the tank off, next you need to remove the fuel vent line right there. And also make sure the fuel is off. Make sure it's in the off position, and go ahead and remove this fuel line as well. Even when this is off, whether it leaks or whether there's just a little bit of fuel in the line, you're definitely going to want a towel and maybe a container to catch the fuel as you take the tank off. Next we're going to remove this clutter. We got a 10mm bolt right here, a couple hoses attached onto it, and then we'll remove this guy right here. There's just 3 screws holding it on. One there, if you can see. There we go. There we go. So one there, and one there. Just so, and there's one right back there holding this on, and it's just behind those wires. So to give you a slightly better view, once you have that part off here and you pull the hoses to the side, you'll have the 2 screws right in there like I showed before, and then this third screw, it's right in there. And I currently have, if you see the screwdriver, it goes right to it. And this is the carburetor. We're going to take that out. We're going to have to remove all these hoses connecting to this from the sides, and we'll also remove the throttle lines on the side. Beware that you're going to want a towel to catch all the radiator fluid, or to clean it up if you did like me and accidentally let it leak. Next we're going to remove these cables. Got 2 Phillips head screws that we're going to loosen right here and here, and then the cables running up and down just need to come out from right there. Just lift up and you'll get them out. Next we're going to remove this top screw right there, Phillips head screw, and same one on the other side of the set of 2. It's always the top one. And afterwards we can also remove these choke cables right here and right here. And just to get out of the way, you can also undo that screw right there to get this little piece out of the way. Alright, that should be everything. We can pull it out now. It comes up right through here. If you tilt it sideways a little bit, that should help you get it through. Alright, next we're going to replace the jets. Those are located in this little housing right there. It's more squared off corners as opposed to all the round parts. So to get this off, we have 2 4 Phillips head screws. Now we can actually replace them. These are the new ones. These will go right in that. Well, one of them will. And this will go where that is. Make sure to clamp down around here when you get it, because only this top part needs to actually come out. Alright, now just flip it to the other side, and we're going to take this off again and do it all just the same as before. Just a little side note, for those doing this, make sure you don't do what the previous owner of this motorcycle did. And as you can see right here, that is almost completely stripped. I'm having a very difficult time getting that out. It makes the part pretty much unable to be reused after that. They only need to be just tight enough to hold it down. After that, it's just a little excessive. Once you have your new Jetson, make sure there's no debris or anything inside, and you can put it back together. Alright, last thing before we get to put this all back together, we need to rotate this again to the round side, and we're going to be installing some shims. So go ahead and remove these 4 screws. Be a little careful when you bring this up. There is a spring, so you don't want that to go flying. Just set it to the side. Once that's up, gently remove this from its edge, and you can use Phillips head screwdriver to remove that part in the middle, or you could just use an 8mm socket. Then you can lift this whole assembly up. There's your needle, and then you can use Phillips head screwdriver to remove that needle. You can see the needle right here. I'm going to put the shims right there, and then put it back together. Probably the easiest way I found to do this is to use a long pair of needle nose pliers just to get the needle in, and you can get the needle just barely in the hole, and you can hold it underneath with your finger, and then you can just slowly move your hand down and put that needle into place without dropping the washers. Once that's in there at the bottom, you can put your little plastic top on. Make sure to use either your socket or your Phillips head screwdriver to lock that plastic part back in place. Then line up this and make sure that this little part is lined up to a little slot where it's supposed to go. Right there. You can look in here through this end. You can see the needle, and you can use that to help place it back into position. Once it's in as far as it will go, use your hand starting here where that has to go in to just kind of reseal that. There is some stuff you can buy. If it doesn't actually stick for you, you can actually kind of reseal it, but usually if you just do it with your hands, it is fine. And then again, make sure everything's clean in there. You don't want to have any dirt left in there when you close it up, but assuming everything's clean, you can put it all back together, put that spring in, put the top on, and you're good to go. Alright, if you tip it in again, you can start putting it back. Make sure you remember which side is top and bottom. So look for key features like this where it kind of hangs out on the end where it doesn't up here. Make sure you remember which side goes that way and that way, because they're almost identical, but they're not. So it is important that you get it in right. And then just line up these little tubes down there that you had to loosen in order to get them out. You'll be lining them up again, press down to get them in, and we're putting it back together. Alright, and just a final few tips as we're putting it back together here. For the choke, when you're putting this back in, you're going to want this tight. So like right now it's pretty tight. The little choke lever up here, if you adjust it, you'll actually notice that it becomes more and more loose. You don't want it to be super floppy, it's going to be harder to put in, so if you just tighten it down by pushing that choke all the way, and then it'll be a lot easier to get that needle back in where it needs to be. Again, make sure all the screws and bolts are tight, not too tight. You don't want to strip it or make it very difficult for you to take it apart again in the future, but they do need to be tight enough that it's not falling apart. Alright guys, hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope it helped you with whatever you needed to do. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe below to get notified of any future videos I post. Have a great day, guys.